back, everybody. She's coming back to form. She's coming back to form. She's tightened up, but like still, like we got the perfect amount of spin here. Welcome back to the canyon. Welcome to another in the long and storied line of the Junkview. This Junkview brought to you 100%, not in part by, but 100% brought to you by channel member, supporter, I'll go so far as to say platinum tier Patreon, Erwin Adrianson. From the far, far away, mysterious land of Belgium, I'm told that that's a place. He does the thing. He does a very Shaker MT thing, which is he sees a tire, sends me a message. Although Shaker MT just blitzes me with tires. Erwin Adrianson will say, "Have you tested a tire like this?" And I say, "I have not." And he orders it off of AliExpress and sends it to me because that costs next to nothing. Whereas if I wanted to order a set of tires and send it to him, it would cost as much to ship them as it would cost to buy the tires. So we end up with tires in our hands. And the tire in question today is, I have a problem with Junkviews. And that problem is most of the time I don't know what they're copying. I didn't know that one set was a copy of Proline flat irons because I had never driven a Proline flat iron. Now, some of them are easy, like the Clerms and Mudslingers and stuff like that. The only thing that I found kind of reasonably close to this is the Yeah Racing Claw. Not the Baja Claw, just the Yeah Racing Claw. The MST has a stock tire that does similar, the snake heads pointing at each other. I've tested a tire or two of a similar tread pattern to this before, but not this particular one, not what is the Yeah Racing Claw. Also, I think worthy of note, these are 2.2s, but in the just very typical 1.9 size. They've got some very unique, almost kind of unsettling, fangy little side, and then this little weird stuff going on. They are unribbed, unbelted. They do have a very nice lip coming over on the side. These feel, handle, and smell like rubber. Like these tires feel to me to be made out of natural rubber, which is rare. I mean, they smell like a tire. If you've ever walked into a tire center at any kind of, if you've ever walked into a tire center, they smell like that. So during this episode, at least, I am hoping to... Oh, that was alive. I am hoping to maintain some semblance of normalcy. Yeah, 118. So slightly under a typical... Oh, that's a 4 and 5/8. So like a... Canyon Trail, please. Yeah, that's a 465. There's a 465 2.2. I will look around for the link for them, provided that they actually do something. I'm thinking 45. I'm thinking that a tire of this feel, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Hey, you never know. Maybe they'll surprise us. There's only one way to find out. Now, why I'm not... Okay, so... These came from AliExpress, and AliExpress has a new meta for shipping tires, apparently, which is they stack 4 tires up this way. They wrap it in a plastic that looks kind of like not a Tyvek, but you know how Amazon is using those plastic mailers that are white on the outside and black on the inside? They wrap it in that. They tape it, packing tape the whole thing, stick a label to the outside of it. So the foams showed up. This foam has been heated, how I torch it, to try to bring it back to shape. They pass the test. This is a medium, maybe a medium firm, but like these have to be the worst cut foams I've ever seen. I don't know if the machine was having an off day. I don't think that amount of foam sticking out is really going to make a difference, but it does kind of bother me. All of the foams were cracked or somewhat slightly misshapen. Like I say, these have been heated, so this is the best condition that they've been in or are going to be in. All of them have chunks missing. none of them really had the exact same size hole in the middle. So, you know, sometimes I want to say that these were about $15 USD. They're on one of those types of listings where you could, for whatever insane reason, should you just so desire, you can buy one. So you can buy one tire, and it was like $4.66 for one, and 15 and change for a set of 4. I am now, have always been, and will continue to be in the future, always intrigued by the Class 2 sized 2.2. Yeah, there's a place and an application for the like 5-inch plus 2.2, but I think there are a lot more applications for a 475, or in this case particularly a 465 2.2, because this means that we can test him on our usual, on our day-to-day, our working man who does not get days off. Baseline, the SE, will be testing. I don't know. Is this his first set of 2.2s? It might be. He is a full-fendered boy. And in case you couldn't tell, so a 2.2 is so wide. Look at the depth of that the faces are almost touching. The screws are basically just pulling the last of it together. That lip is so big, there's no chance these are going to come dismounted. They look a little weird, you know, the amount of rim you have versus the amount of tire. It's a little bit like a Crawler Low Pro. The foam might act a little stiff. Maybe. We will see. The compound is definitely not soft, sticky, nor exotic. But 2.2 introduces a lot of metal. So 206. Anything over 200 grams is going to be great, because typically when we see a tire, 185, and that's with a double bun in it. This is just single stage foam, 200 plus. So if we put any other type of insert in here, we could go up about 220, 230, because a 2.2 is just, it's just big and heavy. So aside from, and like there's a real feel to like I don't know if it's mold release. There's something on them, but much like a Barstool Sports pizza review, y'all know the rules. They come out of the package. They get 2 holes punched in them. If they're very large, they get 4 holes punched in them. These only got 2 holes punched in them because they're 465s. Like, we shouldn't even get lug noise and stuff off of these. The fitment is going to be, the fitment should be exactly the same in terms of offset. I had to put SLWs on the backs of these wheels to get them out to what I thought would be an acceptable offset. And so on this wheel, we have outer to outer, 10 inches dead. So that's perfect. That's perfect. I think on his Canyon Trails, he might be 10 1/4. So we've lost 1/8 of an inch per side. It's not 3 millimeters a side. It's not. I genuinely do not think that is going to be a problem. I'm amazed his windshield wipers have lived as long as they have. So, I mean, yeah, they fit. They look like tires. They smell absolutely like tires. In the comments, please do be sure, tell me what they are. Like, if there's something other than Yeah Racing claws, like what, because Yeah Racing claws are also not expensive. So again, we have that strange thing, like where people clone, like I've tested 2 different Canyon Trail clones. So people clone tires that are cheap, approach clones. Strange, but I guess they'll clone most anything. I find them to be completely inoffensive. There's no sidewall markings, but inoffensive to the point that they're almost a little generic with how far the side lug comes down and how little of space it is right here. They look a little cartoony, But that we're not gonna let that hold. Let that hold. I just turned into Porky Pig. We're not gonna let that hold us back. He has not even been cleaned. He didn't even get an air bath from his last round of tire testing. He's a working man. He gets to get back to work. Yeah, I mean that's full lock. We get a little. You know what we should get a little of? The outdoors. Right? I have to say, on the drive back, they feel okay. Rig doesn't have any wander or anything because the foams, even with these being a 2.2 and the irregularity of the inner diameter, they sit pretty straight and they're rubber. So there's no real sidewall give. So this guy was just tracking in a perfectly straight line. The lugs actually were picking up dirt and stuff, like almost like that there was a compound involved. So of course a little bit of trepidation about that first tip in. We could just get a sit and spin situation here. Like I don't feel like we're gonna get a straight over the beam type of operation. And that's quite a bit of fallback. But like I said, they felt greasy. So we'll spin them up a little bit. Ooh, it's an almost for me, dog. Let it cut back a little more. Maybe it can push through here. Yeah, we've got a good bit of featuring enhanced sidewall stability because the sidewalls are so short relative to the height of the tire. There's some lug sound for you. This is everything in 100% in. Oh, you slippery fellas. So when in doubt. Oh, that was on. Yeah, they're not making it. So that's you know. If we break the slick rock assault in the initial, if we break it down into 4 pieces, yeah, that's there's no compression on this tire over here. If you can get a tire up that high on this, like we've seen plenty of tires that don't, we're not gonna lift a leg at all going up that. All right, okay, 465 coming through. Yeah, I could hit cruise control and just leave it right here. This is definitely interesting. Okay, see right there, we had so little rear traction that was pretty good right there. But my positionability is very low. It's just kind of throwing itself around and landing wherever it wants to land. So my expectations for pulling up on this are that ladies and gentlemen, a moving visual representation of my expectations. That's exactly what I thought. Give it some more. We'll just keep feeding it beans. Yeah, you've got to feed these a lot of beans. Like, look at that. Nothing. I can't. If you're going the opposite direction of where your wheels are locked, that does not bode well. Someday, I will figure out how to overlay a time code over a video, like a stopwatch, that isn't slaved to the master time code for the video. Like we're probably 15 minutes into the video. The timer would start now. It would be 15 minutes and then counting because while I ramble here, I was like, we gotta limit this to what? Give him about 2 minutes to get up this. So I've already kind of learned in the first few minutes. Throttle is the answer. But the, oh, hey, oh, don't bring me down. Come on. Have you ever seen a tire get so close and then just be like, no, no. Well, you have now. Like I don't think I've seen a tire get to where we're over the top, right? That driver front is in a little hole. Ordinarily, if you get to right here, you've done it. It's just a matter of pulling over. But as soon as I take that steering angle out, it just launches it back the other way. Instead of straightening out, it just shuttles. It just shuttles to the left. It is not confidence inspiring. So my expectations for the pull-up here are very, very low. Oh, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I mean, that might be my favorite thing of this whole day. Because it did. It didn't do it perfect. Perfect is we come straight over. We come over that, and he kind of jostled around to the right, but did it reasonably well. It's not really doing anything else reasonably well. So we're at a point of shrug emoji here, which is how much of this inability to do the things is compound based, how much of it is insert based, how much of it is tread shape based. Because right there, that side, with how big the lugs are on the sidewall, that should bite and pull that front end. So that would lead me to say compound, but also maybe a little bit insert. Like I said, they're more of a medium firm. I think with that low sidewall height, I think if you were to cram a 1.9 in there, probably do a little better. Yeah, these don't have much. I've made an analogy in the past for those who haven't heard it, which is we have the traction profile of a tire and how that tire behaves. Like, what does your line look like? Imagine, if you will, follow me down this particular rabbit hole and imagine that your line, the imaginary stripe across the ground that you're attempting to drive on, this is not going well. Imagine that line changes width based on the relative traction of a vehicle. So your line, you have your, okay, we need to rewind here. You have your physical line, the thing that you're attempting to do, what we call a line. Now imagine that laid over that is an imaginary line. Imagination. That line is of a width. That width is telling you how much leeway you have in passing the line, the physical line that you're trying to do. Some tires, that line is very broad. You can make errors. You can be somewhat inaccurate in your front tire placement, your rear tire placement, and still be successful in passing the line. Some tires that we have tested in the past, I've equated it to being, one is walking down a hallway, right? You might trip on a child's toy and bounce off the wall. You're still not gonna die. You're still gonna make it to the end of the hallway. Some tires are more like a gymnast's balance beam, where if you take it slow, You're not going to fall off. And it might not even be pretty, but you'll make it to the end. Then you have tires where it's like you're on a tightrope. And now, if you don't have an excess of skill, the tire is not going to assist you in what you are trying to perform. These tires are not good, objectively. They have the right idea, because we have, look at driver rear low side, like no deflection. So the tire, this is single stage foam. The tire side hills pretty great. And honestly, this foam, this tire, the foam is way overly stiff for the tire, because the tire is very stiff. The carcass is very thick, very thick, probably 4 millimeters, even on the sidewall. Like it doesn't thin down on the sidewall. It's 4 millimeters all the way across. So that foam at its firmness is too firm for sure. Very slow, very slow. So these tires are a tightrope. You've got to skill your way through. And by skill, I mean, you got to learn the tire. What is that tire going to do and not do? It's most likely going to do what you're not thinking that it will. It doesn't quite slip when you think it's going to slip, and it doesn't quite grip when you think it's going to grip. Now that, instead of comment, that I think is more lug shape. So this tire, and we sit here about halfway through. So we're halfway through. The beast is the midway point. I can tell you already, I mean, we have the formality. We will go through the formality of completing this. But I can tell you that this is the worst case scenario. This tire is not truly bad. It's okay. Considering that they're $15, it might elevate itself from okay to all right. For a rock crawling tire, I certainly no. We're in that 70% range. 70 points out of 100 on the wine scale, where another tire is going to do better. Like, there are tires that'll do better for the money. There are tires that are $5 more and will do significantly better. So certainly not a recommendation even at this point as a crawling tire. They're too hard. Now, I have to remember that there are people that do trail things like this. And I think, I think this tire with a hair bun in it, I think you could do it. Like, they've got it. They've got traction, and the odds of you tearing a sidewall on one of these, only if you're driving through that field where they grow razor blades are you going to tear or cut one of these. These are, I said to my buddy, he was here when I was opening the AliExpress package, I said, these feel like a 4-square ball. Like, for those unfamiliar, I don't know how playground games work in other lands, but here we have a game called Foursquare, which is like dodgeball-ish. You get to throw balls at each other. The rubber of that ball to American youth, we can all smell it, and we can all feel that texture in our hands. And these tires both smell and feel like that. Like I said, natural rubber. And like that wasn't terrible. I think we've got enough chevroning on the tread shape. I think I can. There we go. Yeah, like, it will eventually do it. But it's not, it is absolutely not going to do it for you. Because I don't think this is the strength of this tire. I think there is a reason, spoken or unspoken, a I think there's a reason that that Yeah Racing claws are so inexpensive, because they're not good. I can't imagine the Yeah Racing claw being significantly better than this, because I think the tread pattern lends to a specific level of performance. So the tire is not, it's not going to surprise us one, if anything. The sheer amount of forward drive is never going to impress. I mean, we've had tires. You've got to bulldog your way through everything. The side lug doesn't really act like it's there. Like it's a big, pronounced side lug. Like that's all side lug right there, and nothing. No grippies. Hey! Alright. Either I'm getting used to it, or we're at least getting what is probably mold release. We're wearing the mold release off, because we're seeing a little something. We're seeing a little something. Is it? Yeah, that should have been a doodle bug. We should have gone over the front there. But the front tires just didn't compress at all, so we did a little stopping nose wheelie. That was almost like, hey, come on, come on. Hey, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not oft we see a tire improve over the span of 10 minutes, but you know, apparently here we are. Yeah, I gotta keep reminding myself. 465. We go close to the sign as possible, easiest line. Yep, okay, we got there. Over here. No, like these raw forward drive is not this guy's thing. Like I say, every tire has total available grip. Total available grip on this guy is not remarkably high. I think if they were worn quite significantly, it would probably actually be a little bit better, because we're not getting any fold on the lug. Very flat though. The tire does not have a lot of rebound in it, which is good. It has a little donkey, but little bit of unpredictability there. Yeah, see, nice. You can't drive these the way you want to drive. You have to drive to them. And I mean, I love the idea, like I say. 465 2.2s. Listen to that lug noise. Yeah, the side lugs act like they don't exist. We've got ghost side lugs. The rear positionability, because the tires are not folding, we can stay in this notch. You get it? You know, it's not pretty. It's not clean. It takes a long time. You're never sure if you're gonna make it. It's kind of a strangely rewarding tire, because you can recognize from the first tip into a rock, you go, this traction is not great. But then it starts to do the things. So 45 is certainly not overly wide. Not what I would put into the classification as a float tire. You're not gonna float over a lot of stuff. That looked really good. You know, as I said back at the Beast, I think this is a trailing tire. I think this is a trailing tire. Like I say, put a hair bun in it. I think you would need a large, not an extra large. Put a large hair bun in these. I have a set, so that's a potential possibility. And just head straight for the crick, you know? I'd do 4 holes, because the rubber's so thick. To make sure to get that water cleared out. Maybe it's a water tire. You know? they don't float too bad. Float, of course, being my reference term for the ability to stay on top of powder soft dirt. They clear the nuggets out okay. I don't think, because the rubber is completely unsticky, I don't think you would have any kind of issue with the lugs loading. They have like little decorative sort of tread in their little snakehead points, but I don't think anything's actually going to stick in those. And I'm not sure how much traction we would actually lose, you know, if these loaded up a little bit. Yeah, that 2.2 though, the 2.2465 is if we take away nothing else, that is the takeaway. The 2.2465 I think is a good idea, because you're getting sidewall stability, and provided that the composition of the tire is better, like we have a better compound, softer and or thinner carcass, you don't have to worry about as much sidewall roll. Now, you'd say, oh, well, I mean, there's not that much difference between a 1.9 and a 2.2, and that's true, but that's based on the ring. The outer point of the outer ring, and when I say ring, I mean the clamping ring in the center. When we look at that beadlock ring, the one with all the screws on it, we're way past 2.2. We're probably 2.4, 2.5. So the sidewall, like I say, it's a diminished sidewall, but to me at least, and this is purely subjective, I don't think that looks weird. I think it looks okay. I'm not a huge fan of this style of wheel. These are the 2.2 tester wheels here. So we just use them until the screws have been inserted and removed so many times that the wheels wear out. So I don't really care what they look like for testing purposes. But for an everyday use tire, I mean, it's not the 2.2 that I would go for. Just get like some kind of steely. It'll look better. Anyway, it's tough. It's gotten tough. It was easy in the beginning and easy in the midpoint, and it's tough now. Because as we're here doing the thing that I neglected to do with the Pro X, which is see how a tire does at its second hit at Slick Rock after it's had some time to wheel about. I mean, it's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten better. These tires do self-right really well. I guess the side lug or that width or the inflexibility comes in. Yeah, this is not a rock crawling tire. I have a solitary recommendation for these. If you need a wet tire for trail bashing, I think this would be a contender. Because between hair buns and the tires, you're looking at what, maybe $25 all in? That's fine. Unless you got to buy 2.2 beadlocks, then I mean those have kept creeping up in price. Maybe AliExpress has got a cheaper option, but typically you're lucky to find 2.2 beadlocks around $40, which I understand. You know, we're not talking Vanquish money, but $40 is still a lot. If $40 is a lot to spend on wheels to mount $15 worth of tires, is what I'm saying. But we don't have I just want him to make it. We don't have an excess of 2.2 tires in the 4.65, 4.75 size. For rock crawling, I still think that we do not. Like right here, that is a pullable line. That tire should go over, but it's just so hard. I feel like the lug noise has dropped off a little bit from when we were here first. And someone that has made numerous appearances in this video already is now standing on the bench behind me with her head right next to my head. Isn't that right? Are you rubbing your head on me? Hello? Yeah. So what happens, I've said, it's been in many videos. If I don't feed the Jage before I turn on the camera, her head is resting on my shoulder right now. Oh, your motor's running too? Okay, I'll tell them it's time to go. All right. we have a tire devolving into a singularity, which is, I think the application window for it is very small. Do not put this on a rock crawler. If you have something dedicated to trailing that does a little bit of rock crawling, these tires can feel pretty rewarding, because when you cut a line with them, it's almost like dialing some of the capability out of your vehicle. Look right here, this is not a difficult line. This is the easy get past line. And what do? We don't fall out of it. We make it, but not easily. Are you sitting on my hat? Don't sit on my hat. So yeah, certainly not for rock crawling, but they don't hurt the steering radius. They don't look terrible. They don't smell terrible. They mount super easy. For a tire that is determinedly in the 70s in score-wise, but if I transmogrify that evaluation to include tires for trailing, I think it bumps up a little bit, based on how cheap they are and the fact that they're probably going to be nearly indestructible, as I want to say natural rubber. Like, these are made out of rubber, not some sort of butyl, tetra, ethylene, whatever compounds that go into something exotic. Yeah, there it is. What a weird little tire. I thank you very much for watching. I hope that the manufacturers out there will grace us with some decent options in 2.2 tires that are 4.65, 4.75. They're useful. They're useful. They can be tuned pretty well. This one we're not going to bother to tune because, like, what are you looking at? Rocks! What do we crawl on? Rocks! These are not that. But I don't think they're useless, particularly at $15 a set. So there you go. Leave me a comment below. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Tell me what you had for dinner last night. That incidentally turned into a rhyme scheme. It wasn't. I wasn't aiming for that. Isn't that right? Yeah. I'm talking to the cat. I'm not that crazy. I will invite you as well to like, subscribe, consider becoming a channel member. Be sure in the comments to send out a shout to Erwin Adrianson, who is the European Shaker MT. He keeps sending me cheap tires to test. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I think we landed in the tie or somewhere in between. So I think we had a good time. I invite you to do your very best to have a good one until we meet again at some point in the future. And I will bid you adieu from Crawler Canyon, Slick Rock more specifically. We will see you, one and all, in the next one. I did that outro out of order. You heard me do it out of order, Gage, but you didn't stop me. All right, well, we'll see you next time.